Hello. My name is Carrie. Today I would like to focus on the Mandela Effect. It has become increasingly obvious to many more people that they are experiencing this now. The known and recorded Mandela effects can be sourced generally on the net. I'm not going to list them here, but if you research it yourself, you will find many people experience the same memory discrepancies. It can be brand logo differences, book, movie, or TV title differences. It can be different scenes in movies, or famous people suddenly being alive, which you only noticed because they announced their death. There are subtle differences in the timeline we are experiencing, as to the one we remember. For those old enough to remember why the Mandela Effect is named after Nelson Mandela, you will remember the confusion when Winnie wasn't riding to political power on her dead husband's name anymore. Nelson Mandela died in jail and became a martyr. Winnie Mandela was campaigning, carrying on his visions of freedom. This was back in the 80s, that Mandela died in jail. Then suddenly everything changed around 2012 to 13. Suddenly what I remembered, with Winnie taking over from her dead husband, had never happened, and Mandela was alive and well. Then I started hearing stories that didn't reflect kindly on Nelson Mandela, who he was, the opposite of what he appeared to be. At the same time, Sting like a bee Muhammad Ali died. When I heard this, 2012 to 13, I thought, isn't he already dead years ago? I have two memories now, well three actually, of Muhammad Ali dying, as he has just died this year, in this timeline. But for me, it's the third time I've heard it. Now also, around this time in 2012 to 13, I notice Hurricane Katrina didn't happen when I remembered it. It was a strange time for me, and I dismissed the anomalies, preferring to leave questioning my sanity till later. Another thing that also happened around this time, Mother Teresa had just been canonized as a saint. Saint Teresa became the first living saint. She then went on a world tour. It was a big thing in the papers and news, around this time in 2012 to 13. From my own memory, I think she died shortly after this. But again it was a glitch, because they were talking about Saint Teresa, and I did think she was already dead. Like Muhammad Ali, she had risen from the grave again. So, it was big news, the first living saint, Saint Teresa. It was probably around 2012 she was canonized, and probably around 2013 she died, again. But in this timeline Mother Teresa died in 1997. I wouldn't have known there was a discrepancy, but they just announced it's official, Mother Teresa has been made a saint, this year September 4, 2016. By this time, I know something is going on with the Mandela Effect, and I look up Mother Teresa, and there it shows she died in 1997. Now I'm really confused, first Mandela, Muhammad Ali, Hurricane Katrina, now this. Something is really going on with timelines. One last effect I will share, regards the car that JFK was in, the day he was assassinated. I wasn't born yet, when JFK died. I was born 4 years later. But I remember a lot of confusion when I was a kid, over who was the President of the United States. There was as much talk about the dead JFK, as the actual living president. The main images of JFK's car, the grassy knoll and others, were constantly flashed across TV and newspapers for almost a decade. It was a 4-seater car, with JFK and Jackie in the back, and clearly 2 security personnel in the front, one being the driver. There were 4 people in the car. Now if you look up JFK's assassination, it's a 6-seater car, with 6 people. A few weeks ago, I looked up JFK's assassination, and found it was back to a 4-seater. I wished I had saved the photo, because when I went back several days later, it had reverted to the 6-seater car again and 6 people. It seems that major events are nexus points, that we can see timeline shifts by the subtle differences it created. Simple things, like words spelt differently, Slight variations in titles, different logos, are all little details we notice too. As you acknowledge your experience with the Mandela Effect, you become more aware of other changes, which previously you dismissed. We are shifting timelines, histories haven't changed, timelines have, and in that timeline a slightly different version of things. You are not crazy, and it's now time to allow those things you dismissed, to come back to your conscious awareness. Medically speaking, they can't dismiss the Mandela Effect as group psychosis, or any other imagined thing. These are real memory discrepancies, that occur worldwide, to those who are astute enough to perceive the change. So what is it, this real event, that is happening to people worldwide, on an ever-increasing scale of recognition? It is a natural occurrence in the Ascension process, an awakening to the multidimensional aspects of the universe, and perceiving more than just one timeline. We have been taught, that our life exists in a constant flow of one timeline. We have been taught many contradictions. Humanity still can't agree on how we were created, where, and why, but each insists theirs is the right version. When you first notice you are on a different timeline, with a slightly different history, you are becoming aware of your multidimensional self, within multiple timelines. Now these timelines are tricky things. Right now we see changes in the history, as we move to a different timeline, and they begin to open us to this understanding, but these timelines are only from our present life perspective. The next part, is understanding past, present and future existing simultaneously, that you are creating now. But that's getting a bit ahead of myself. Past life recognition will become part of your knowing, as will foresight into your future life. Everybody can understand how our memories work, how sometimes even a smell can trigger a memory. You know the life you are living, and in it you create all your memories. Constant advertising, and media frenzies over stories, will imprint on anyone's memory, even if they didn't make a conscious effort to remember it. The Mandela Effect can also get very personal. About 6 months ago I met a friend's husband, for the first time. He insisted differently, and said, "Don't you remember you helped us move?" I had never met him, and I never helped them move. I was in another state, and hadn't talked to her in years. I certainly didn't help them move. Now, if I didn't know about the Mandela Effect, I would argue with this guy he's wrong, and inside think, is this guy tripping or what? But I started to wonder, what was my other self creating in his timeline? I have no idea of what went on, but he does. Your whole history in this timeline starts to become a mystery to you, and you ask, what have I done in this timeline? You soon realize that it doesn't matter, now is all that matters, and what you are creating in this timeline. I separated from my husband around 4 years ago. We don't talk much, but I had to know what he remembered about Hurricane Katrina. Around a month ago I phoned him, and I asked, expecting he would remember things the same as me. He didn't, and he has very distinctly different memories. I was floored, he wasn't the same man I remembered. It was bizarre, talking to a man you lived with for 25 years, and this man is a stranger. The man I married is on another timeline. It's the same person, but it isn't, they have a completely different memory. No one has the definitive answer, nor can its complexities be perceived by the mind. You can't logic this, it has to be felt and observed within your own experience. When you are recognizing these differences, you have opened yourself to higher frequencies, and now you perceive them. You may not be consciously aware of this yet, but these Mandela effects are your wake-up call, to be consciously aware, so you may have higher truth revealed to your conscious mind. With this knowledge, the conscious mind can now make choices, based upon your own higher wisdom. You are your own best teacher, and I can't stress that enough. Listen to yourself, allow yourself to experience your complete inner knowing. This is what I meant when I said, you can't use your mind. This is where you use your heart, and learn to trust in what comes from within you. Your mind requires logic, that is taught to you. This is the filter you see through, when you try to understand something. It is what we are taught, and not necessarily true. Logic is the rational mind trying to comprehend, and some things, the rational mind can't comprehend. The Mandela Effect is one of these. It can't be explained by logic, or what we are taught, and if the mind tries to comprehend it, we think we are crazy. The heart, however, just knows, because it doesn't have that limited filter our mind does. Your heart feels what it wants you to know and understand, and has access to multidimensional wisdom. This is again, our lack of trust in our natural instincts and intuitions, that the modern world has deemed invalid. Our heart is our instincts and intuitions, it is our connection between that physical part we know as ourself, and the metaphysical multidimensional part. Our heart knows what the head cannot. Your heart understands, what your mind can't logic. If you need to hear your heart, ask a question out loud to yourself, like, why am I feeling this way? Then start to answer yourself, with what first comes into your head, I am feeling this way because. The more you listen to yourself, the more you realize your heart's pretty smart, and it knows lots more than your mind. This ascension process is all about raising frequencies, to exist in a higher dimension. As people, we are clearing negative energies, and raising our own universal energies, to higher levels of understanding and experience. We are in the process of changing our whole paradigm. Not just people are ascending, the earth is ascending into a higher frequency of existence as well. The earth is also clearing negative energies, that are largely from us. All the negative activities that attached itself to the earth, are being shaken off, dissipated, and washed clean. In geological terms, the earth has been made trillions of tons lighter, by the mining of minerals, and then burning their mass off into weightlessness. Over time, and incrementally as we consume resources, the earth has literally become much less mass, and lighter. How does a lighter earth spin? Faster. The earth is creating a higher frequency, a much different Schumann resonance, which has risen considerably in the last 10 years. Before this, scientists said it was a fixed frequency. So even scientists are confirming, the earth is gradually increasing its resonant frequency. The earth is ascending in frequency and spin, this is undeniable. The Schumann resonance represents the average resonant frequency of the planet. It is primarily calculated by lightning activity. Lightning occurs every second, somewhere around the world. This constant high energy discharge, makes the earth ring like a bell. The measurement of 7.83 Hz, when it was first confirmed, was said to be the stable pulse of the planet. 20 years ago, just out of audible range of most people, the Schumann resonance was steady at 7.83 Hz. Today the average resonance is over 15 Hz, and within the audible range of most humans. I think everyone worldwide, can see increased storms and lightning. This year alone, so many people getting struck by lightning. But it's also animals, as with a herd of cattle sheltering under a tree, and a large number of wild deer, all believed to have been killed by lightning strikes. The Earth's increases in overall frequency, or Schumann resonance, means that at 15 Hz, most people should be able to hear it, it's within normal hearing range. You might notice this sound, like a hum with a high pitch, ringing in your ears. In the quiet of the night, this sound can become very loud, and noticeable. This is not a medical problem, this is the much louder Schumann resonance. The Earth is also experiencing a fluctuating and weakening magnetic field, indicating pole reversal may be imminent. There is a lot going on with Earth ascending, humans ascending, and if that wasn't enough to deal with, there's more. In a way our solar system is ascending too, as a part of its whole, the Earth ascends within it. This will cascade through many universes, and dimensions. In my belief, nothing can ascend in this solar system, without the aid of its binary partner, to help shake things loose, so the cycle can start afresh. There is another system bound to ours, and they cycle together, two sides of a binary system. It is coming closer to the Sun, and it is disrupting everything in our solar system. This includes Earth. This close encounter, with our polar opposite system, creates changes in the magnetic field, which in turn creates gravity changes. Within the fluidity of the fluctuating and weakened magnetic field, our own duality, or polarity field is affected. Photonic bombardment is likewise increased, as we move through a large photonic band, covering several decades. Inside our DNA are photons, and these photons are responding to the extra outside cosmic influence. All living matter with DNA is being affected by increased photonic stimulation. Herein lies the reconstruction of our original 12-stranded DNA. As we exist now with a 2-stranded DNA, we are metaphysically recreating the other 10 strands, and this is part of the process, unlocking our multi-dimensional existence and knowledge. DNA is coded information. Photons have been found to stimulate dormant DNA coding, or shut it down, or even rewrite it. The universe is, right now, awakening our DNA and our true selves with messages and information, triggered by extra photonic stimulation inside our DNA. It would be natural to expect that as our DNA becomes more active and reconstructed, then we are more likely to notice things like changing timelines. Our little solar system, in the Milky Way galaxy, is certainly very busy at the moment. We are the main attraction. What will we do with this opportunity? Many are here to support us, some are not. Part of the ascension process also involves becoming part of a larger community, a galactic community. We are not the only life in the universes, or dimensions. We are a small fraction of what exists. But before we can become part of a galactic community, we must ascend within our own personal vibrations and frequencies. When you look at it, the ascension process is multifaceted, and the Mandela Effect is one of its facets. The way we see time is changing. The way we see ourselves, and our place in the universe, is changing. The Earth is the place of our current existence, and if we want to continue living on an ascending planet, then we must ascend also, lest we can't exist here at all. Don't worry, or fear, this is a natural part of the process. I was going to talk about another recurring dream, but I wanted to present this first, because it's important to understand, we are experiencing a natural event. My dream is more to do with corruptions to the timelines and the natural course of events, by the manipulations of powerful technologies. I will talk about how our timelines are being corrupted in another video. It is far better we see the positive soul evolution before us, that we as individuals, and as group consciousness, can recreate ourselves on this planet, and with the ascending Earth. We can't avert this cosmic cycle, but we can choose how it affects us. If you can perceive the Mandela Effect in your life, then you have subconsciously made a choice to ascend, and your timeline path will be different to those who choose not to. You will not experience a timeline of utter devastation, but one of ascension. Your recognition of changing timelines is your own proof this will be so. Right now, everyone appears to be on the same timeline, but there will come a time when two distinctions will be made in critical energy. Those who choose to ascend, will be on a different timeline, than those choosing not to. Your own experience in the Mandela Effect is proof you can shift timelines. When it becomes a conscious choice, rather than an effect, you can shift timelines at will. This is how you will experience a new beginning of a greater state of being. You will still be on the Earth, but in a different timeline, on a higher dimensional plane of existence. I would like to thank everyone, who have shared their own experiences. As we learn from each other, and support each other in our experiences, we become closer, and another facet of ascension. We are not so alone in our experience anymore. In our shared experiences, we are creating higher awareness within ourselves. Thank you for listening. If you liked it, then share it around. If you didn't like it, then share it around anyway, someone you know might get something out of it. Be kind to each other, and yourself. Talk to you soon. Cheers from Carrie.